Salute, 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 man. Peace and blessings to everybody, man. Make sure y'all subscribe, share, and like the channel, man. This is DOA from the control room, man. All right, salute to everybody. So, you know, just want to say peace and blessings to everybody that's out there staying productive and, you know, for the most part, man, just basically trying to make it happen out here, trying to find your way in the world of this world of just living, working, everyday life, entertainment, and what have you, man. So let me just get straight to it. So for the past, I would say, for the past few months, from my perspective, I've always been, I'm a thinker, and it's always been an issue and a disconnect with the youngins and what we consider, what they call us old heads, and I'm one of them. I'm considered what they call an old head, and I'm talking about in terms of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop, rap music, whatever you want to describe and title what we love, which is the original name for it is hip hop. And I realized one of the disconnects that we have with with the older generation and the younger generation when it comes to this genre of music that we call hip hop. In my personal perspective, is that us as adults are not always correct. You know, us as being what they call old heads had a lot of opportunities in hip hop. As we know, hip hop was considered birthed in 1973. And this is not a hip hop lesson. I just wanted to just shoot the shit with y'all real quick. There's a disconnect with the older generation and the young heads is because, let me explain something to you from my perspective. A lot of I would say not a lot, I would say some of the pioneers or those that was part of the start of hip hop, and this is before, likes of the Rakims and the KRS-Ones, BDP, Eric B. Rakim and Will Smith, Fresh Prince, and stuff like that. As far as that era, the Juice Crew, and when they, back in the '80s, going into the '90s, they were doing their thing, man. Money had changed in the game. They was making a lot of money back in those days, considerably, right? So when we talk about in terms of the generation before them, and when I say us and them, I mean those that are well known. I'm very instrumental in hip hop, but I'm not known like that. But I'm very instrumental in this genre of hip hop. A lot of the older guys had a lot of opportunities, and some of them had blew the opportunities. So we can't. I hear it's been going on for over 30 years. A lot of the older generation is beefing with the young generation about, oh, these guys don't know what they're doing, what they're saying. Back in our day, back in our time, the guys, we did it like this and they doing it like that. They don't really know. They would have survived back then. And let's just be honest, man. People that pioneered this will never reap the benefits of what's going on today. Dr. J was considered the greatest basketball player alive, but he wasn't getting that Michael Jordan money. But he opened up doors for Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? People like Melly Mel and Kumo D, the Chexter Street, Spoonie G, and so forth had opened up a lot of doors. I mean, shit, Grandmaster Flash, DJ Flowers, and so forth had opened up a lot of doors for a lot of the DJs and rap artists that you see before you. So I just wanted to express myself in the sense of there were a lot of opportunities during that time that they blew. There were a lot of old school artists. I hate to say old school artists. I would say authentic artists. Blew opportunities as well. I know DJ Academics, man. He was disrespectful about calling old school artists old and dusty and stuff like that. He's young still, and he's not going to see things the way we see things. Considerably the older generation, such as myself, that's part of that. He was out of line, and he got checked on it. 21 Savage disrespecting Nas, saying that he's not relevant and stuff like that. Understand, young guys, young people do not want to be associated with anything that's old. And sometimes we say things, we're not mindful to a lot of things that's going on. A lot of respect is going. between the older generation and the young generation. I remember me and some of my dudes. I remember I was in Queensbridge. My aunt had a birthday party and out in Queensbridge Community Center, and we sitting there laughing at all the older guys, like such as my pops and his friends and my moms and all of them, was laughing at their shoes and their clothes because we were young and dumb and full of life and having fun. And now here we are. I became my parents. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old head now, and my daughter doesn't want to be associated with me as far as in certain aspects of being old, right? So you young, and you live and you learn. So a lot of the young heads, and salute to them because they're putting in a lot of work, and they're getting a lot of money, and a lot of them are going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to continue to make mistakes, but I just wanted to shout out and salute to the pioneers that put this together. But understand, you guys made mistakes as well. You had opportunities, to either be on television as far as sitcoms, movies, even your own talk show, considerably. I'm not going to mention no names, but you guys made mistakes. Um, and I just feel that for the most part, and this may be wishful thinking, but I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't be a situation where it's always got to be us against them, and our generation was better than this generation. That's impossible, because what happened during the 80s and 90s, which is considered the 90s, is arguably considered the greatest era, which was the golden era. People were doing their thing, man. The Mobb Deeps, the Nas's, who still Nas, salute to Nas. I used to know Nas. He's doing his thing right now. He's still making it happen. He has a cult following. He has a loyal following. But a lot of the older generation made mistakes as well. They dropped the ball. You can't just get mad at the youngins at times. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can recall a time. Salute to my man Davey Dex, man. He was signed to 88 Records, Strictly Rhythm Records. He was making like club music, house music, and stuff like that. And back in the mid 80s, he had an SP 1200, an 808. He had all kinds of machines. And during my beatbox era, a lot of my dudes from Queensbridge would stop at my house because I was the beatboxer, and would come to my house. Right now, I'm at my parents' house right now as we speak, and we would go in my bedroom, and I had the Word Up magazines, and I had my tape recorder, and I would beatbox while they would MC, because I was considered a recorder. I was like the recording for them, because we're talking like shit, 85 when Dana Dane came out with Nightmares and all that. We were young, 14, 15 years old, trying to find our way. Nobody saw the future. They would stop at my house, and I would beatbox for them, and they would MC, and we'll record it. But at the same time, right on the other side of Ravenswood was a brother named Davey Dex, who's now considered my brother, my best friend. And they would stop at his house, and they would make demos. And one of the guys that would come to the crib, salute to my man Melquan and Fatal, they brought a gentleman over by the name of Paul, who became Lost Professor, Extra P, who later on formed a group called Main Source, one of the most classic groups in hip-hop history. And me and Extra P, Lost Professor, would make demos at my boy's house, Davey Deck's house. And I remember a time we would do demos, and I tried to be an MC, and it was quiet for me. I was extremely terrible. My shit was quiet. It was over. I was all right. I was decent enough to make demos with my man. And he was like, "Yo, D, man, you want to get on this track? Yo, D, let's do this." And we made a couple of demos. I would spit a couple of verses, and then later on, Lost Professor got a deal. I believe it was Wild Pitch with Main Source, and there was a gentleman named DJ Clash, who I grew up with out from Queensbridge. We knew each other since we was kids. His family knew my family out in the bridge. I'm from Ravenswood Projects. Queensbridge is my second home, respectfully. And Clash was with Marley, you know what I'm saying? And I got a phone call from Clash. He was like, "Yo, man, our professor's doing a video for looking at the front door. Maybe we should just, let's go out there." And he didn't know I knew Lost Professor. And the reason I didn't tell him, because, I just thought, I was young. I thought it'd be like a little surprise because I didn't see Paul in a long time. So we drove out there, and I think it was a place called Mother's where Lost Professor had did his video for looking at the front door. And the reason I'm sharing this story is I'm going to tell you the mistake that I made, right? So we see Lost Professor. I'm standing behind Lost Professor. He's sitting down. I kind of punched him in the arm a little bit, had on my little glasses and all that. He turned around. He didn't turn all the way around, but he turned around a little bit. I punched him again. Gave him a little bit of a harder punch. He turned around like, yo, took off my glasses. He was like, oh shit. We started chopping it up. My man Clash pulled our professor to the side and basically told him, yo, man, won't you work with Dread? And during that time, I wasn't considered, my name wasn't DOA at the time. And I was a beatboxer slash MC, so to speak, but I was more of a beatboxer. Law professor walked up to me and was like, yo, D, man, I'm working on Nas' album. Just like this, he had his hand on his chin. He said, yeah, I'm working on Nas' album right now, but, we're going to work on your shit. You know what I'm saying? So I said to him, yo, what's up with Milcorn and my man, Truth. And back then we called Truth Larry Large. He became guard body and called himself Truth. So I was like, what's up with them? And he was like, he smirked and said, nah, I ain't fucking with them niggas. And I was like, So because of that statement, I decided not to work with him. And our professor was that dude, you know what I mean? Live at the barbecue, and, friendly game of baseball and all kinds of stuff that was going on with that young man at the time, and he was popping. But because he had made that statement, I was like, nah, I ain't messing with him. Because I was on that keep it real shit. Because I didn't like the statement that he made about my dudes. You know what I mean? And I met Law Professor through Milcorn at Davey Deck's house. So I felt offended. So the point that I'm making to you is that he didn't have an issue with me. And for some reason, he didn't want to work with them. Had nothing to do with me. But because I was looking at those guys as my friends, and I still do, I didn't take the opportunity to work with the man. He wanted to work with me. He had no issues with DOA. So the point that I'm making is that's one of the mistakes that I made in the game. What did I do about it? I kept doing my thing, left hip hop for a while. I got back in the game considerably, I think about 95, and I started doing open mic shows. I was a great promoter, started doing my own thing, doing open mic events and stuff like that. And then later on in 99, you know what I'm saying, I got rekindled with Rozelle. I had moved to the Bronx, and he took me down to wetlands and stuff like that. And then we did a couple of shows, and then The Roots. I met Questlove back in like 93, I believe, and then I got a chance to see Questlove again with The Roots at the Club Wetlands in 99, and I started doing my thing, you know what I mean? And I got back into the game heavy. And we was me, DOA, Rozelle, Scratch, Kenny Muhammad, and Eminard. We was probably considered the greatest beatboxers in the world at that time. So the point that I'm making to you is, I made mistakes. So I can't blame anybody else for my mishaps or anything that transpired. I was blessed to get in the Screen Actors Guild, because back in 2001, I got my first Wrigley's commercial for Winter Fresh Gum. Went to acting school in 2005, so I was good. I was able to tour with certain DJs and artists and stuff like that, but I kept it moving. And I consider myself being successful in a certain genre of entertainment. So I'm just saying, a lot of the guys from my era and before me had opportunities. So we can't blame the youngins. I know these guys is getting millions of dollars. They're getting thousands of dollars for shows. But at the same time, we have to take accountability for our actions and mistakes that we've made. I shared my story. Get to know me. DOA. And I'm still here. So now I enter the world of battle rap. Today's era of battle rap. Battle rap been around since day one. That's how it's always been. But there are those that are bitter. There are those that are upset because they're not where they want to be. Do something about it. No more complaining. And there is a disconnect with the old school artists and the youngins because they don't communicate. It's always like, look at him. We was the first. Anybody that was the first of anything will never reap the benefits. But you can get into a different genre of entertainment and make it happen. Sometimes you can't be the artist all the time. You know what I mean? I know some artists that I know personally that was there from the beginning, and we knew we was around a lot of artists that got signed and blew up to a certain level, and then some would blow up even further. We was around that. We was there when it started. And a lot of them got signed. Some of us didn't. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, do something about it. There's no need to cry all the time and complain. And it's not a shot to the pioneers. I'm just saying, let's just stop doing the blame game and saying, well, my generation better than this generation, and these guys don't get it. And if this rappers today was in our era, they wouldn't have survived. And that's not the case, man. Everything evolves, things change. So let's just be mindful of what's going on around us. You feel what I'm saying? You know, a lot of us, you know, did coke, got on drugs. You know, that's just the way it was back then, man. You know, so I just wanted to share my story on some mistakes that I made. But was it really a major mistake? Nah, I was young, and I didn't want to go down that route because I wanted to keep it real. Because my man didn't want to work with my people. But I'm still here making it happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying at the end of the day, man, let's be mindful. There's no need to be bitter because there's nothing you can do about being bitter. You know, what you want to do, you want to be, you want to move on and you want to kill that bitterness, satisfy yourself and kill people with success. No need to be bitter, man. My name is DOA at the control room, man. Get to know me, all right? God bless, man, and salute. God bless and salute. There, I need some water.